I've been on YouTube for 14 years, and one thing I've never seen is a video series on designing a fly from beginning to finish. I hope by now most of you are familiar with my knucklehead and knuckle deep patterns. But for the better part of a year or so, I've had this idea for a fly kind of tickling at my brain a little bit. And I'm ready to sit down and design this thing. And I decided I would do something that I've never seen and bring this process to YouTube. So welcome to the Streamer Design Series, Episode 1. We're gonna have to get a little creative here. So for a while now, I've had this idea for a single hook streamer to go along with the Knucklehead and Knuckle Deep series. Like I can see the silhouette in my head, I can kind of see some different things and ideas that I have for this fly. I've never sat down and sketched this fly, I've never done anything, and I did that on purpose because I've had so many of you reach out to me and say, why did you design the Knucklehead this way? Podcast interviews, everything like that, this always comes up. This question is always there. And I can't think of another way to help you understand the design process of a fly than to bring the whole process to you right here. So I think I'm pretty sure on how I want the fly tied. I'm not 100% sure of anything, to be honest with you. I don't even know if this fly is gonna do anything. It's gonna swim. It's gonna swim. We're gonna make it swim. But I don't know the exact process on how I'm gonna tie it. There's two very big questions that I'm gonna get to in a little bit that I don't know if they're gonna work or not, but we're gonna feel this out together. So this series is meant to literally take you from before beginning sketches all the way to the point of where I send this into Montana Fly Company and see if they take it on like they did the Knucklehead and Knuckle Deep. So first let's kind of go through what's kind of running through my head and why. The Knucklehead, the first fly that I ever completely designed myself, is a completely weightless, except for the hooks and material, just a completely weightless swim fly that I love. The Knuckle Deep, by its name, is a dumbbell weighted fly tied with heavier materials that's going to run a little deeper than the Knucklehead. So we're trying to cover different depths of the water in different ways. The only thing that I know for sure about this new fly is that I want a single hook and I want it inverted. You know, like a Top Gun, the whole, I was inverted. I don't want this fly to be heavy, as in like a head heavy fly, like a jigging fly. I'm just really not into that style of swim, really much at all. But I also don't want everybody to have to rely on the line to get the fly to sink. So we're gonna have this give and take of how much weight to put on this hook and where on the hook to put this weight. That's gonna affect the swim, it's gonna affect obviously the sink rate, and it's also gonna affect just how the fly sinks and just really kind of everything about this fly. So you can't design a fly without a hook. And since I know I want an inverted swimmy fly, you'll get it. I don't really have a ton of choices when it comes to hooks. I know the style of hook that I want, and it's gonna be that bend back style of hook. So these bend back hooks are basically a modified Texas rig hook. You have a flat portion here that you normally are going to build the fly on. One of the ideas I have that I don't know if it's gonna work or not is to put a shank off of this as well. We're gonna feel that out. I'm about 70-30 that's not gonna work, but if it does. So the first hook I'm thinking of is the Montana Fly Company belly bumper hook. What I like about this hook is the vertical eye and its simplicity. It's simple. There's not much to it. What I don't love about the hook is it doesn't have a huge hook gap. The wire's pretty rigid. I just dig this hook. Super simple. The other hook I have in mind is the Ahrex Predator swim bait. This one. It has about an eye width more platform to build a fly on because you're really only going to build the fly on this part. I mean, pretty much. One thing I just don't love about some Ahrex hooks is I feel like I can just bend them. I really do. And this is like one of their heavier hooks. So I don't love that. And ultimately that's probably my biggest dig against this. I love the fact that it's got a big hook gap on it, good fish holding ability once they're hooked. But also once they're hooked, that opens up easily as well. I know millions of people have caught tons of huge pike and muskie on this, but it just doesn't make me feel cozy. So I am leaning toward the belly bumper. It's the Kelly Gallup designed hook. Like I said, there's not a lot of frills to it, which can be a really good thing. And the wire is not as bendy. It makes me feel better. But I'm not against switching up the hooks if we get into this and we start building it, and I think this hook could be better. I'm not against switching, and I will do that in a heartbeat. Just my first instinct is we're going with the belly bumper. So materials for this fly are something that are fluid. Let's just put it that way. They can change at any point, and probably and definitely will change as we go through the designing and tying and swimming this fly. But when I think of a swimmy fly, it's swimmy. You're gonna hear that term a lot. But when I think of a swimmy fly, I think of like saddle hackle tails or schloppen tail and a flowy wing. Right this second by flowy wing, I don't know exactly what I mean. I don't know if I mean marabou, I don't know if I mean naiat, it could be something synthetic. I don't know exactly, and this is where the fun part is really gonna be for this series. We're gonna figure this out as we go, and I'm gonna tell you why every step of the way. What I do know is the belly bumper is gonna need some weight. It's gonna need a little bit of weight to help it keel, which means ride right and not fall over on its side. And also the weight's gonna battle against the foam head of the knucklehead series. So you have this push and pull effect of something wanting to sink, but it can't. So it gives cool swim. So basically if you have a fly that's just all the exact same thing, you don't have this push and pull effect that it's trying to battle itself. And we want this fly to battle itself. So during the process, we're gonna mess with where we put the weight on this to see what it does to the sink rate and the sink angle, where to add weight on a hook. Huge part of the design process. Since we're adding weight to this, I know I'm gonna have to cover it with something. I don't know if that's gonna be polar chenille or something like ice dub in a dubbing loop or some kind of brush. I don't know what that is, but I'll want it covered. I know I will. Covering that lead is actually gonna do three things. It's gonna cover the lead, obviously. It's gonna give it a little bit of flash, and it's gonna help me with an opposing belly color. So typically you want a streamer darker on top than it is on bottom because they're mimicking a fish. Another thing that I know for sure I'm gonna have to have is a platform to keep this fly from fouling on itself. The tails, hopefully the shank. I'm gonna have to have something to keep the fly from fouling on this part of the hook. So I know I'm gonna have to have bucktail here somewhere. Bucktail is a phenomenal material to keep things on top of itself and to keep things tamed. I think bucktail is easily one of the most versatile streamer tying materials on earth. It has that slight rigidity to keep things from fouling without sacrificing swim, and that's the best of all worlds. So for the shoulder part of the fly, this is where I really don't know 100%. We have to create bulk before we get to the head. This can be anything from palmered marabou to reverse tied Arctic fox, but what I do know is I don't want to go super heavy with this material. I don't want a super water weighted material, but there is this give and take of I need something to soak up a little bit of water so it helps with the sink and the movement just a little bit. In the next video, where we actually sit down and sketch this fly out a little bit, I'll probably figure out more of what that's gonna look like, what that material is gonna look like as I build toward the head and create some bulk on something that I don't have a lot of room to create a lot of bulk on. So we're gonna have to get a little creative here. And then we have the head. Fortunately, the head is the easiest part for me. I know what kind of head this is gonna have. This is gonna be a knucklehead fly. So it's gonna have fettuccine foam on top, and laser dub throat to help cover everything up. So between the keel weight of the fly, the weight that we're gonna put on this part of the hook, and the foam knucklehead, we know this fly is gonna swim right. It's physics. There's heavy weight down here and something that wants to float here. It's gonna swim right. So you're not gonna see this fly just swim on its side like that at all, because it can't. One thing we do want it to do is get pushed on the side from water and react to different angles of current and everything like that. So when it gets pushed around, we want it to get pushed around, but we want it to get pushed around and then keel. That's the ultimate goal, is we want the water to push it around, but we don't want it to swim on its side. I hate flies that swim on their side. So when it comes to my product spotlight videos and my tying videos and everything like that, I'm always excited when I start a new series. It's something new and it's something fun. But I've never been this excited about starting a new series. Ever. In 14 years of YouTube. Never been this excited to start a series. In the next video, I'm gonna start sketching this fly out, and mind you, I am not an artist. So yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me on that one, but you're gonna get an in-depth idea of what this looks like. And I have this idea to start sketching it out step by step versus just sketching a fly. I think that'll help me build it, and it'll help you get a feel for how and why I'm gonna add materials to the hook. This process is gonna be a ton of fun and super informative. For all I know, it may not work at all. I mean, I got a pretty good idea it's gonna work, but I don't know how it's gonna work. And we're gonna figure this out as we go. So subscribe to my channel to be notified whenever I put new videos out, and go through this journey with me. A journey may be a little over the top, but you follow. Buckle up. This is gonna be a good series.